Welcome to IMTV. I'm Alan Keyes, and this is Let's Talk America. Those of you who were with us yesterday know that I was talking with my good friend John Michener about the rise of a movement that is spreading through a number of states now throughout the country, reacting against the regime of abortion, looking at the present juncture of our politics and what's been going on with the Trump administration, the courts in the country and the Supreme Court in particular. People see it as an opportunity finally to raise the public's consciousness and address the issue of abortion in a fundamental way.
Well, I think what you're outlining for our viewers here is that there is rich material that is obvious to anyone who can read at a fifth grade level that the Constitution absolutely defends every human being in our republic, including the preborn. It's just so obvious. You've got the twin pillars of a right to life and equal justice under the law. And then under that, you have these additional points that you've made, that the Constitution even assumes that the preborn are persons, and the way it uses the word defines it. And furthermore, they're innocent. They haven't done anything to deserve the judgment or the penalty of death. So argument upon argument can be made from the Constitution. I mean, furthermore, you could argue under the 9th and 10th Amendments that, hey, this is a criminal issue. I mean, how we are going to uphold the law and punish people for rape, murder, theft, bank robbery, speeding. I mean, these are criminal issues. They don't belong with the federal government. The punishment and the criminal aspect belongs to the states. So it's the states that actually need to enforce and uphold this right to life and this equal protection and protecting innocent persons in the womb. So we've had enough. We've had enough with treating abortion like it's healthcare and buying into this false opinion of the Supreme Court. And when it gets right down to it, I think people are starting to wake up and realize that those guys on the bench, their job is to write an opinion. And it is the executive branch where you have people who carry guns and handcuffs and wear the badges of authority, and it's their job to literally, physically uphold the rule of law. So I think it's important for our viewers to understand that if we want to abolish abortion, there's two things that need to happen, and one's not dependent upon the other. One thing is we need to establish justice in our laws. We have statutes that are very contradictory because we know that abortion is murder and it should be stopped, and there are statutes that say that in every state. But also every state has statutes that says, well, this is how you do a legal abortion because of Roe v. Wade. See, all those statutes need to be ignored or deleted from the statutes. So in that way, we need to establish justice in our state statutes. And that's what we're seeing a lot of trying to happen with all of these different abolitionist bills that are being run state to state. They're trying to establish justice. But separate and apart from that, if we want to abolish abortion, we have to actually, literally, physically stop the bloodshed.
Well, I think
stop killing babies, and you can't do that without executive action.
This is what I have been trying to get folks to see when I am able. And I have been blessed by God to be able to talk to some of the governors who are involved, and that looks like it's going to be a continuing process to make that very point, because I think we've reached a place where the actual structures of our Constitution come into play. And even though the Supreme Court has an edict saying that right is wrong and murder is tolerable, the natural law and the mandate of the state governments right there in the Constitution's 14th Amendment say, no, you have an obligation to make sure there's equal protection of the law and that no person whatsoever is deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process. Roe's assertion that the nascent child need not be treated as a person has been proven decisively wrong by law, by science, and now by a clear understanding of the fundamental premise of the way individuals are to be treated under our system, where they're innocent until proven guilty. That means that the governors are now in a place, I think, where they're sworn to uphold the Constitution. The court's jurisprudence has set up a whole bunch of institutions that inherently, intrinsically violate the Constitution. They are called upon by the 14th Amendment to enforce the equal protection of the laws. I say they have to keep their oath. Do you think people are ready to wake up to this?
Absolutely. I mean, we were talking about the duties to abolish abortion and what that would take. You know, legislatures have to establish justice. The governors are the chief executive officers in every state, and they have sworn that oath. It is very clearly their duty to stop the bloodshed. It has been laid at their feet. It is at their doorstep. And it is up to them whether or not they will pick it up or just continue to step over it and ignore it. And that takes us to the third duty, the third responsibility in abolishing abortion, and that's the people's responsibility to take this message to our magistrates, to our governors. It's time for us to do that. People are waking up and we're doing that. It's going to get to the point where governors can't help but hear this message. And that's where you've had a role and I've had a role, and so many people are now just not patting a governor on the back for balancing the budget and sending more money to teachers, but they're going to his website and calling his phone number and saying, Governor, you have a responsibility to actually stop this bloodshed. Can you meet with us and talk about what that would look like?
From the governor's point of view, it's somewhat easier than that, because if murder is taking place somewhere, and they know that systematic murder is taking place there, it's their duty to shut down that activity. In this respect, the laws against murder require preemption. You can't tolerate a murder mill, a place where murder is being systematically conducted. You send in what force is necessary and you shut it down. The abortion mills are places where murder is being committed. And the executive isn't supposed to stand there and say, well, I'm going to have to keep you people from interfering with this murder. No, they don't have to let a mob go in and stop it, but they have the responsibility of doing so in an orderly fashion. Ponder that and join us here again on Let's Talk America.